guys, welcome to the first video on this channel. This is Sky and Thread. Some of you might know me from my other channel called Kelly Loves K-Pop. I'm Kelly, so it's nice to meet you. Today we're doing kind of first impressions and flip through of the Tarot of Toiling Hands. This was a Kickstarter that I joined, maybe 6 months ago. I don't know. I'll put the information on the screen. I have to actually double check. But it came up pretty quickly. I was really surprised. She really, she was a trooper getting all this artwork done for sure. Esme Baker, the creator of this tarot, is a tattoo artist and a musician by trade, as far as I know. And so as a tattoo artist, I'm sure she's used to coming up with designs pretty quickly, but I mean, she really outdid herself getting this done. And it's really just an amazing tarot deck. I'm usually pretty tough on black and white decks. In fact, I think I only have one other one. I think it's my Hermetic Tarot. Yes, the Hermetic Tarot. And it's more, I want to say, like occult in its symbolism. It's definitely very symbolic. I mean, I guess all tarot is, but you know what I mean? Some of it is like really intentional, and some of it's more like drawn to resemble everyday life, right? I think that's why we like the RWS system so much with all the scenic minors, is because it reminds us of everyday life instances. And this tarot does that, but also has a lot of occult references and also just general, I want to say it seems like it has like an Art Deco influence, woodblock print, tattoo style. It kind of has all of that all together. Her style is really cool, and it might become my favorite black and white deck that I own. Not that it has a lot of competition, but it's going to be up there for me. So I also have like the Ink and Intuition Tattoo Tarot that this might replace in my collection. Maybe we'll have to do some comparisons with this and those couple decks and see, you know, what we think after working with it. Obviously, I haven't worked with it yet. This is just my initial reaction. I just got it in the mail a week or two ago, maybe a week and a half ago. And I haven't had time to sit down and do my flip through videos that I've been wanting to do. So we're kind of actually going to do a few today. So if you see me in the same hair and makeup in the next like 3 or 4 videos, that's why. So if you're checking this out, thank you for checking out my channel. Again, this is my second channel where I definitely want to just talk straight up tarot with you guys. What tarot I like, how I read tarot, that kind of thing. On my other channel, I do readings. But I also, if you want to order private readings, I do that too. I'll have the link in the description for this. Anyway, moving on, let's go ahead and talk about this. Especially the majors, these were like so good. There was a lot of diversity, cultural diversity in this. I was really surprised to see, honestly. You know, I just expected kind of a Eurocentric deck. Honestly, I didn't know very much about the artist beforehand. I hadn't seen much of her art. Her Kickstarter campaign was just like the funniest introduction video I had seen. Her sense of humor was so good, and you know, her doing it to like save her tattoo shop during the plague times. It really just stole my heart. Like she had me hook, line, and sinker on this campaign, and honestly, I'm really glad that I supported it because this deck is gorgeous. I mean, it might be a little busy for some people. You know, some of these cards do have a lot going on. But for me, like, as long as what's going on is meaningful, I don't have a problem with that. If it looks like intentional, this is kind of ornate. Like I said, it reminds me of the Art Deco style a little bit. But I do feel like it has a flow in the card. Like, it doesn't feel too, like it's not fighting for my attention, you know? It feels like it's just backing up what the main focus is. But I just think she did an amazing, like this double card is insane. I love it. Oh my gosh. Like, there is a lot going on. Like, I'm not gonna deny that. And I've heard some people don't like these titles at the top, but I kind of do. It kind of reminds me of I don't know if it was like Golden Dawn that had these kind of titles. I mean, obviously they weren't printed on the cards, but they did have the titles for the cards. And I just, having them there actually to me is really cool. I mean, I like being pulled in by a card, so I guess it just depends. If it's overwhelming, the card's obviously not going to draw you in, so I can see how it's not for everyone. But for me, this is really like, I could spend a lot of time just staring at these cards, and this might be one of those decks where I work with it more for me than for like client readings. I'm not sure how clients would like this deck, but as a tarot reader, I'm in love with it, and as a tattoo person, I'm in love with it. So I don't know, it just, usually I don't like minimal decks. You know, there's always exceptions to the rule, but I mean, this deck is far from minimal. But you know, black and white decks usually end up being kind of minimal for me, and this one doesn't. This one hits all the right places for me. I mean, so far. We'll see when I actually get to work with it, and I'll definitely do a follow-up video. Like I said, maybe I'll do a comparison video where I can talk about how it's read for me while I've worked with it and get a little more in-depth into it. But I definitely wanted to do an initial flip through for it. I always like doing flip throughs where you kind of can look at the cards without the person stopping to talk about them. You know, sometimes I'm like, I just want to see cards. So I usually do that. So I'll definitely, you know, probably put that first in this video. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool, interesting things. Some of this I really like how she has it like coming out of them. I think some of the pages and some of the kings are kind of like cut open like that, and inside it's like the messages, the call is coming from inside the house, you know, the message is coming from inside the person. Because a lot of people with quartz, you can read them as an actual person or as a concept, and I think sometimes this helps get it through that it's also a concept. If that's something people struggle with, if you have a hard time kind of remembering the concept of the quartz, this kind of gives that. This gives me more of that anyway. So yeah, it's really cool. You know, and we still have all the traditional RWS imagery. You know, you're still gonna have that lemniscate between the two pentacles here. You know, the church, the person working. The only thing on this card is I definitely would have liked another person there, because I generally see this as collaboration between people, not just a single person's like work. But it can mean both. So if you read it more as just a work card, you know, then it'll work for that. For me, I kind of am missing the teamwork aspect of this card. But like, and then you have this Four of Pentacles that is just like, it's intense. It's intense. I love that. I like intense cards, but I can see like someone, this might be a lot to take in. A lot to take in. He's got his earth element on his forehead and everything, so he is very heavily like rooted, you know, where he is. He looks heavy in all his garb, you know, and those pentacles on his lap. You know, the church window. So it's like we have most of your key elements, so that if you're an RWS reader, it should be very straightforward for you. I mean, it is for me so far. Like I said, there's a couple of concepts where I'm like, I wish, you know, his tools here. That's like, sometimes there's certain things missing that I wish, but you know, there's not your perfect tarot deck. You know, there's always going to be a few things that you would have done differently. So overall, like, I'm so happy. And the card quality is pretty good. I mean, it is very papery feeling. I don't feel a lot of like lamination. It's very light lamination, because I think she had a questionnaire on the Kickstarter asking people what kind of finish they wanted. So most people wanted matte, so I think she tried to get them as matte as she could. But they do feel like, I mean, obviously a core in there. It's like a cord cardstock, but it's not heavily laminated. The cards honestly just feel like a thick, it's almost like a low Scarabeo without the heavy lamination feeling of cardstock. I feel like they'll hold up for quite a while. I do wish the edges had a gilding or maybe a little bit more protection, because I think it feels a little unprotected just on the edges, but it's pretty nice. Cardstock's pretty nice. It feels good in your hands. Yeah. This card reminds me, like I said, she has a band, and it's Sadness and Complete Disappointment. I think that's what it is. I will definitely make sure I have the correct name on the screen. But this reminds me of one of their concepts. Kind of looks like her. I think this looks a lot like Esme. But it's just really cool. The Lord of Bad Blood and Sour Relations, the 5 of Swords. That's something right there. Because yeah, I usually read the 5 of Swords as kind of like by at all cost, or like by any means necessary, like the fallout after a type of conflict, right? Like to me, the 5 of Wands is the conflict, and the 5 of Swords is kind of almost right after that. But this is definitely like the conflict, you know, the conflict at hand. It's very, very direct. Actually, I'm kind of wanting to see the Wands and the difference between the 5 here. Okay, yeah. The Clamoring Horde. So this is kind of maybe like dissonance, discord. And this is more of more directly between like 2 people or 2 parties. And this seems like just a lot of people shouting over each other, you know? So it's really interesting, kind of some of her takes on the cards, but I think all her takes are pretty good, solid takes for someone who, as far as I know, doesn't have a background in tarot. You know, probably has researched it some for certain art, but I think when she went to do this, she did a really good job of like giving this deck like its own voice. Like it has a very specific tone of its own. I don't really like what's it like, not personalized, but like I don't really do the whole thing where I give decks like a personality, you know, where people do like interviews and ask the deck as if it's like a person speaking to them. I don't really do all of that, but I do think you know, decks are a tool, and each tool has its own specific like strength. So it's similar to that. It's personifying, I guess. Yeah, it's similar to personifying, but I don't quite go the whole 9 yards with it. And I think this is also probably why I get like Art Deco's got some medieval influences and some more modern influences in here. Like I said, she goes into cultures, and then you have this 8 of Swords. Goes back into like kind of tattoo territory with the skulls to me. But someone being like, you know, usually we see the 8 of Swords and it's just someone kind of surrounded by swords and like blindfolded, but this one is like literally being burned at the stake. So it's, again, this deck may be more on the intense, like shadowy side. So you're gonna have to keep that in mind if you're reading with it. Excuse me. Mother of the End. Just that ram's head skull. So cool. I really, really like that. And like I said, we have all these like cultures and history, you know, different points in history and stuff. So she definitely tried to be somewhat inclusive. I think the only thing we're missing is like kind of different level of able bodies, you know? But it's an improvement from definitely from what I expected. And she's even got some, you know, herbal and fruit references in there. And it shows the eyes. I don't know, there's just a lot of, to me, good depth in these cards. You know, like the flower with the eyes and stuff, it feels like more than just a stylistic choice. It feels like it's there to give you more symbolism and meaning to draw from. I think that's why I really like this deck, is everything feels very intentional. And I know I did the flip through, but I might as well just go ahead, and we're almost done, so I might as well finish flipping through here for you guys while we're talking about it. There's that 5 of Wands again. Again, this is the Clamoring Horde. I wish they looked like they were clamoring a little bit more. They're all kind of sitting there, but again, if you're familiar with RWS, then you know what it's speaking to. If you're not super familiar, if this is like one of your first tarot decks, I mean, the message is obviously still going to get across. I haven't read her. Let me read her book real quick and see what she says for cards like this. It's just a little paper. It's not really a book. I guess it's on the inside here. Suit of Wands. Here we go. And 5 of Wands. Rivals, conflict, competition, and competitiveness. Arguments, not listening to others. And if it's a yes or no question, the answer is no. So that's interesting that she has yes and no answers in here. You don't see that too much. And then in reverse is resolving disputes, accepting differences with others, conflict within oneself, and the answer is yes if it's in reverse. So that's pretty cool. I do like that she kind of went that extra step. It's just keywords, but she did try to be pretty elaborate with choices and directions that these cards can go, you know, obviously depending on your spread and how you read. So, and I do read with reversals. It's funny because I always feel like reversals are really common, and then most of the tarot readers that I see online and stuff or that I've met don't read reversals. So it's like, but all the books always have reversals in there, and I guess it's another video for another time to talk about reversals. I do read with them, but I don't really use spreads, so you know, there's a whole lot there. Anyway. So 6 of Wands, our victory card, the esteemed master of great success. This guy almost reminds me of like Poseidon or somebody. Could be Zeus. Our daughter of flux and propulsion for that 8 of Wands. Very, very traditional. The 9. Lord of Resilience. I like that. I like those 10. Again, like kind of that more shadowy, also like tattoo influence, I think. But I like that. I like that she kind of brought in like skulls as like a theme. You know, it doesn't just pop up on 1 or 2 cards. Like it is like sprinkled in throughout. And then the sprouting and enthusiastic child for Page of Wands. Again, like all these different kind of cultures. I wish she had explanation in the book of like what cultures she included too for some of these, because or like just her thoughts behind the artwork, because I'm really interested in why and how she chose all of these. But I love them. And I appreciate all the little thank you cards and stuff she included with the Kickstarter. The sticker was really nice. All the quality is really great. Yeah, and it is a tuck box, but at least the tuck box has that little piece, the extra piece, so it's a little easier to get things in and out. I have a wall of shelving that I put my tarot decks on, so I probably won't be using this box, especially since she's autographed it. I'll definitely try not to use it. But that's just me. I don't really like tuck boxes. I don't find them to be the best option, but again, this was a Kickstarter and she was doing her best to get everything out as quickly as she could without making things more expensive. So I think she did a great job. I am definitely kind of you know, I kind of hope this isn't the end of her tarot journey. Maybe in the future, you know, when she's not doing it out of pressure, she might revisit some of the stuff and do something. Or I heard there might possibly be a coloring book for this. If there is, like, I will buy that because this would be so fun to color. I'm definitely not coloring my cards though. I heard some people bought 2 decks so they could, so that's an idea. As far as I know, I'll try to link her shop because I do believe she'll be selling these online if you're interested. It's not a one and done. So I like that too, in case I damage my cards for any reason through use in the future, I can replace them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you have the Tarot of the Toiling Hands, what do you think of it? What are your thoughts on it? Do you enjoy it? What decks does it remind you of? Do you know the story behind any of these cards that you want to share? You know, let me know. I also have an Instagram and an Etsy shop that I'll have linked in this video if you want to support me or check out getting a reading for yourself from me. I'd really appreciate it. And with that said, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care of each other, take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys real soon. Bye.